Welcome to another Retro Crazy. If you couldn't tell, today it's all about the Bandai WonderSwan. The WonderSwan was developed by the late Yokoi Gunpei's company Koto and Bandai. Those with any knowledge of Yoko Gunpei should recognise him as being the mastermind behind the early Game & Watches, the Game Boy, the games Metroid Prime and Kid Icarus, and of course the infamous Virtual Boy, and it was that failure that caused him to resign from Nintendo. And that's when he set up his own company, Koto, where he was approached by Bandai to produce the new handheld. The original WonderSwan, which is what this is, was released in March 1999, with the Color Swan, the colour version, being released in December 2000. Obviously this was in direct competition to the Nintendo Game Boy, and while being technically superior and cheaper to the Game Boy, after a year of success this little handheld, well, basically met the same fate as all that preceded it when Nintendo released the Game Boy Advance. Bandai did release the WonderSwan Color, which again was superior and cheaper than the Game Boy Color. However, just before release is when Nintendo announced the Game Boy Advance, which basically signed the death knell for the WonderSwan. Production of the WonderSwan ceased in early 2003, and in fairness, they sold about 3.5 million units between the WonderSwan and the WonderSwan Color, which is about 8% of the Japanese market. Oddly, it was never released anywhere else, although a deal was almost struck to produce the WonderSwan for the American market. So let's have a look. I've just had this delivered, supposedly fine, but I want to check everything and make sure that everything is doing exactly as it's supposed to. So, it looks like it's been opened here, though it does look like it's supposed to be opened at this side. So, yeah, opens that way. It's quite nice. And the WonderSwan itself, assuming it comes out. So the WonderSwan is well, tiny. It really is a handheld. And what's really neat about the WonderSwan is not only is it designed for conventional horizontal play, it's also designed for vertical play, which is a really, really neat feature. So let's get this powered up and see what happens. So we have on-off switch on the left hand side, standard port on the right, that's marked contrast and a little wheel, but that's all. They didn't release a headphone socket, but you bought an adapter that plugged in that gave you the headphone socket. Okay, so here it says release. I'm going to guess that, there we go. Oh, okay, it's a battery module that plugs in. I'm going to guess that allows them to put a bigger battery pack or something on, because there is no external battery, no external power port. So it takes one AA, and on this original WonderSwan they reckon up to 40 hours of gameplay, which is phenomenal. So when we switch it on, I get some icons at the bottom, but that is all. I guess that's because there is no carton. These, again, I have just had delivered. I was going to open them, but I thought it would be nicer to open them on camera. And this is a whole batch of cartridges, all the way from Japan. Now it's a mix between colour and original cartridges, so some of these I may not be able to test until the WonderSwan colour arrives. So I'm not even going to guess at what some of these are. Although I am seeing a C at the end of the serial code, so that could be for colour. Yeah, we have some very interesting cartridges. Right, I can see the colour symbol. These may or may not work on the original. And all the cartridges look to be in fairly nice condition. I can see some discoloration. So we will deal with that first and then go on to testing. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And we will do a little bit of cleanup. Apologies, I couldn't find my standard rubbers, so I've had to steal one of my doctor's. I believe Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is going to help us today. And taking a nice soft flexible rubber, I'm just going to run it across the contacts because I'm looking to remove any discoloration from the contacts. Try and give them as good contact as possible when it goes into the little handheld, and you can see that that comes off quite well. Not perfect. In fact, maybe just too soft a rubber. But I'll finish off by just lifting off the excess with some isopropyl alcohol. It's the same process for them all, so I will skip through this part of the video. There we go. Next is on to the cleaning with isopropyl alcohol. So some Q-tips or cotton buds, whichever you prefer to call it. And some 99.9% pure isopropyl alcohol. Little squirt onto the part, and then just removing anything that's left. Again, I'll skip through this part of the video. And there we go. All the cartridges cleaned. And now it's on to testing. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to slide the cartridge in and out a couple of times ensure that the WonderSwan itself has good connector contact. What's nice is it's completely flush. All these cartridges are the same, and they're going to sit completely flush. And the unit is just so light. Well, let's power on and find out if everything works. So, there we go. We have a working WonderSwan. Buttons actually feel quite nice. A little bit spongy, just like the Game Boy. And it says push start. Okay. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. I don't know, but I'm going to guess this cartridge is working. Nothing. Nope. Actually, it registered it. Okay, that one I'll pop aside for further checking. That is a warning symbol. So I'm going to guess, yep, WonderSwan colour. That is not going to work with the original WonderSwan. For that one I'm going to have to wait for the WonderSwan colour arriving. Okay, so we've got one That is not behaving at all. Try once more. Yep, like the Game Boy, you need the logo appearing. And that's definitely got no logo appearing. So, Hawks, I think. Have a quick look and see if we can see anything at all obvious. Slide, no, lift, there we go. Ah, battery. Well, that does beg the question, yep. See a battery. Yep, just see a battery through the darker cases. That one's a bit easier to see. Okay, so these have onboard saves, which means it looks like each of these has a battery. Question is it the battery that's stopping it powering up? Well, already got it set. Let us have a look. Okay, so that was a negative voltage, but 3.24 volts. Low, but a battery that's about 20 years old. I'll take that any day. Doesn't look like it's the battery that's causing the problems. Can you see anything obvious? Initially, no. Now, unlike the Game Boy, these tracks are very small. I'll do this as a separate video. We'll see if we can actually get to the bottom of what is wrong with this particular cartridge. So in the meantime, I will close her back up, and that will be a video for another day. I hope you enjoyed the video all about the WonderSwan. Quite a neat, light and powerful little unit from Japan. Just a shame they didn't have a bit better market penetration or even release globally. But it does look like it was just a little bit too little, too late to compete with Nintendo. Which is a shame, because the option of actually playing the game that way by default is rather nice, especially if you've got a scrolling shoot 'em up. That's a more natural way. Well, thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, and see you in the next video.